So money, if you think about money and value in and of itself, like you were just saying, that money makes, I don't know that money is emotional, but money definitely makes
It
people
is.
emotional. And you can look at any family business, for example. Great example that came off the top of my head. Family business or family members in general. What's the one thing that's sure to drive a wedge between brothers and sisters, children, parents, cousins, whatever? It's money. What's the rule of thumb of owning a business? Man, never hire family, because when you do that, it gets weird. Why does it get weird? Because what you said, money.
Yes, yeah, yes. I made that claim that money is the most emotional thing known to human, because every human on planet Earth, especially nowadays, and you could tell this is by design. Um, Everyone is moving towards this money system with, without their full choice. You know, it's not like they want it. It's something that is being deployed, and it's very effective, because that's what's causing the most powerful nation on earth to be to claim that, you know, it, it's the use of money. They couldn't do it without money, and guess who controls the money? They themselves. And they know, I know they know, how powerful money is in humans' life, way of being, even health. Because you even if you, let's say you become enlightened or whatever, well, that's not gonna get you very far. That doesn't mean anything. You still have to eat. You still have to, do mundane things to take care of yourself. And and no matter where you are, it affects you. And what's messed up is a country that's not developed, and they're the one that's struggling, at such a, um, uh, uh, you know heavily. Like it's very tough on them. It's very hard. Us over here, we may have little problem here and there. Oh yeah, we didn't pay this bill last month. We were afraid they might come try to take our car. Most other countries, they weren't about feeding the kids, feeding themselves, and before, they could have done that without the thought of money. But money is seeping everywhere in the corner of the world, and that's not what I think make it, the most emotional thing. What I think make it the most emotional thing is because of human ego, the fear of no self. Because people always like, most people, at least most people that I know, they always like to show off when they have something. They always like to show it off. I have some some people tell me straight up, no man, you have to show off. You gotta show what you got. Blah, blah. And I'm in my head thinking like, why would I do that for? What would I get from that? I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, a few weeks ago, I went to the club with my, cousin. You're supposed to have fun when you're in a club, right?
Hmm.
You're supposed to feel good, have fun. Okay, great. I went to the club, got a drink. Okay, music, people are dancing. Okay, okay, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, they're doing the same thing. And I can't get it. I don't get it. this is something I don't get. Um, well, again, to what I was saying, it's the fear of no self. People want to be, like the Jetson. They want to be
They
at
create
Chinese
this
even.
false facade of themselves through money and status. And what I wanted to bring into this, you mentioned music. It's like if you look at rock and roll, and especially going into the 80s and pop music, a lot of like songs would talk about status and living a glamorous life and having limousines and this. And then you get into the early 90s where a certain element of the music industry seemed to come in and hijack hip hop and rap and turn it into something else where that's all they talk about is having this type of car, this chain, this type of liquor, this type of
Yeah,
girl, it's all status.
yeah, and it's all being pumped to us through the mainstream.
Yep.
They put it out there. That that should tell you right there. It's part of the plan because and the rappers, they talk about the things that obviously it would to most people sounds immoral, and that's what they putting out there in the mainstream and promoting it, right? And notice that a lot of the rappers, especially gangsters, uh, they haven't opened their mouth once to say something about what's going on in Gaza. What do you think that is?
Well, it doesn't sell, first of all. But second of all, there's a reason why a rapper, which I think is one of the greatest rappers of all time, KRS-One, there's a reason why he's been rapping for all these years, but has never really made it big. Whereas someone who, like, for example, NWA, none of those guys were gangsters except for maybe Eazy-E. Maybe. I don't know for sure. But they were huge. That's the reason why you're talking about right there. Why is it they don't talk about Palestine or political issues, but they more focus on what they're creating in their own neighborhoods and status? And it's like, okay, well, we're going to get everybody fears us because we have guns and we're going to shoot you if you come on our block, and we got this type of car, and we got it from doing what? Selling drugs and creating pain and misery and pimping out girls. And
Yeah,
I mean, they call their own wives and girlfriends a cuss word, a B word.
yeah, yeah. It's
And
being
it and
promoted.
and who really talked like that before that stuff became popular in music? Like I saw a guy, man, I can't remember his name. He was a African American fellow was talking about. He said that his people, his culture, that's not his culture. That culture, whatever that gangster rap stuff was, basically forced upon the community by Jewish record executives.
Yeah,
That
they don't want
that
to.
is not their culture.
Right. It's a business that's
Yeah.
designed to for gain. Basically, they don't care about uh, you know the youth listening to this. And one thing you gotta keep in mind and remember is you see that screen that's right in front of you. Mirror, mirror on the wall. You see the screen. This thing we
Hmm.
call television, TV, tablet, whatever. They've been working on this for a very, very long time, as you know. And look how far we got. And could you imagine? Uh, could you think about like 1995, 1996, and around this time, you walking around, you know, anywhere, busy street, the mall, the park. Not one person with a phone in their hands. Not one. But nowadays, everybody's a zombie. They're driving. They're walking. They whatever they're doing. This is like and to see this transformation happen like this right in front of our eyes, boom, tells me that there's a lot more coming to that pipe.
Oh, for sure. There's a one word that comes to my mind. Of course, it's a no contract word, but it will convey the meaning I'm trying to articulate. Is the word disassociation. There was a time when I was growing up in the 1970s. I lived on a country road. I grew up on a farm. Country road for like 10, 15 miles. Every year there would be a party. Everyone took a turn hosting the party. Everyone from that road was invited to this party. They would all bring dishes. They would bullshit. They would drink and dance and have fun. And everybody knew one another. Nowadays, I know one neighbor that lives next to me that I speak to. I don't know anybody else really because everybody's disassociated from everyone else. And this definitely plays a big part in that.
Oh yes, yes,
I
yes.
agree.
Yeah, I think that's their favorite weapon. If
Division.
you want to
Keep
call it that.
everybody divided racially, politically, genders, everything is about division.
And uh, y- I'm pretty sure you're sensitive to this, or you could be. Everything that happened that occurs, um, the so-called establishment, um, the top 1% or whatever, the one that got this whole thing rolling, it got it where it's at right now, because they they got their hands in every single thing that human beings are interacting with nowadays,
Hmm.
and they know it's it's. I think they know money is the most emotional thing because they structure a system, a 9 to 5 system. You know that was the best that they could come up with. I think you sent me something about Microsoft, what they was trying to do, a little more advanced than what I'm talking about now, but it's the same kind of concept. And they try to impose that system everywhere, worldwide. Um, I, I could vouch for this, but you know you could know about it too if you take a good look at some countries. Like in Haiti, they was really trying to force the. Um, there's nothing wrong with the working, like the labor thing, but what they did is they completely took out all the natural, farms, natural way of people getting you know, their food, and
Hmm.
then they replace it with theirs. And when conflict occurs, whether conflict occurs or not, they're reliant, they're dependent on them. So eh, even when they're not using the physical money, it is the money that they they designed the whole thing so it cannot be otherwise. And human beings, they know they can count on human beings to be fearful. Okay, because for something to be emotional to you, like I said, it just means that you're fearful. And they know human beings, they could bet their butt that human beings are emotional creatures, and sooner or later, whether they want like it or not, they're gonna do. They're gonna end up exactly where they're designed them to be. Now, about the thinking for yourself part, which I think quantum grammar allow you to do. It basically stop that code, and you can you can get out of it um, uh, personally. And I don't think it's a thing that a big group of people at once is gonna do this uh, getting out of this system like that. I think this is something that's it has to be done individually. Like when I see the groups of the red thumb clubs and all these groups, all these people coming together and trying to form a group to counter um, these things. Granted, quantum grammar just put a big fucking wrench in this model that's out there. But because we are emotional creatures, we still have we still have to depend on our livelihood, our survival, and so we go a little soft in the head and we ignore uh, some principles, and you right back to square one. And it's very difficult for you to actually avoid this because where the hell are you gonna go? Because I did think about all that, and the best idea I came up with, well, two. First, if Elon Musk actually get this goddamn spaceship somewhere more comfortable, maybe I'll join. Or I I find an island, maybe Beyonce's, and live there forever.
I
Yeah,
just
because
want to
even
comment. I just want to comment on what you were saying about the group thing because that, Ricardo, that is what I've been saying for 8 years now. Well, actually, not 8 years, about 6 years now, since I've been teaching correct sentence structure for 8 years to hundreds of folks all over the earth in all different countries. And I have tried to work within the constructs of a group several times. And every time I try, the same thing happens. And
hmm.
it comes down to actually, from my perception, what it comes down to is money. Like you said, money is the reason why these things never work.
And that's why they give you people on the mainstream and they associate them with money so that you see how easily people follow people just because they think they have money. And so this is like by design. That's why I say anything that you see in the mainstream, don't believe nothing you see on TV. You heard that news? Where did you
Mm-hmm.
hear it from? TV? Okay. Because they wouldn't let anything out. Even I know a lot of people, but I know some people that really good at like singing and rapping, but they don't get the spotlight. They don't get the attention. They don't get the boost. They don't get put, put on the mainstream. And a lot of these artists is a lot of their lyrics or whatever, whether they write it or not, they always uh, been given some some parts so they could repeat in order for them to maintain their status of loyalty to because they are eating from the devil's pot. If we want to talk about vampires, I could say devil's pots, right? That's what it is. And if you dare to challenge, the status quo, you'll know what happened, and which is why I think no rappers, nobody's in the mainstream. Only certain people that really don't give a fuck, and I don't know if that's just a gimmick neither, because they're in the mainstream. And remember what I said: nothing, don't believe nothing you see on TV.
Nothing can come into the mainstream and be popular without having paid the piper to do so.
They wouldn't let it happen.
Never. I don't care if your name is Donald Trump or whatever it is. There's no way that you're where you are without having to. How can you say this? Um,
You gotta wear the dress.
yeah, you got to wear the dress. You got to eat the shit. Um, you got to go to the Diddy parties, whatever it is. Okay, as a musician myself, I would like to bring this up just for shits and giggles. Is if you look at the music back in the 20s, 30s, 40s. All right, you look at the different cultures that were creating music in the United States, past tense United States. Jazz, for example. Jazz, as a musician, to me, jazz is complicated. It uses chord voicings that I'm not used to. You got to put your fingers in weird places to make those sounds on your guitar or whatever it is you're doing, singing. Compare that to now.
Yeah.
The music that's being made now, just
There's
like
no
the
talent.
education system and everything, it's all been just totally everything taken out of it and dumbed down. I mean, think of some of these choruses, man, that these people have in hits. Wop, 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 wop. From the windows to the wall. I mean, what is going on? Skeet. Okay, you're going to hear this word skeet on the radio. Awesome. That's culture, though, right?
Perfect example, because the supposedly rappers out there that selling albums, they can't rap. They can't rap for nothing.
Mm-mm.
If you listen to them, just listen to them. What are they saying? It's not. That's not a talent. I don't think they could sing. I don't think they could rap. A lot of the singers, they're using auto tune, also,
Yeah, they can't even hold the tune. They couldn't hold a tune if it had a handle on it.
and it's again, it's whoever they decide, because it seemed like
Yeah.
it's very well planned out, you know, and and it all seems to go this way. They put somebody out there, making famous, um, uh, and then all of a sudden something happened and they destroy his character. Right? And I see that happen over and over, in the mainstream, and these people, you nobody really know anything about them. You know, I mean, a lot of the rappers too, I would say, they just come out of nowhere, and you just claim that, they're from there, they're gangster, blah 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 blah. And then you have this, now you have the real, kids. I call them kids because most of the kids from projects neighborhood actually being radicalized by
Yeah.
the music, and it's allowed. It's How could it be allowed? How could something like that be allowed? It's because it's all part of the plan.
I read a book once, many years ago, called Monster, and it was written by a fellow who grew up in LA during the rise of the gang culture. And throughout the 70s, the gang culture started with the Bloods and the Crips. And he said that it initially started as just protection, looking out for your neighbor. There was no wars or anything like that, or turf wars. That came in later when drug dealing was introduced by some outside element. He went to prison and he became a radical Muslim. But he really explained how it went from being basically neighborhood watch protection to now it's turf wars.
Yeah, yeah.
Like turning it into, I hate to use this comparison. Well, actually, I don't hate it, but I'm reluctant to use it. It's like you go into Crenshaw or Figaro or wherever it is in LA, it's like Gaza. It's like it can be that way. And even where I live here, outside of like 45 minutes north of Detroit, there's starting to be drive-by shootings not 2 miles away.
And this is always gonna bring us to a full circle, right? Like the gang members. Why did why did they become gang members? Like certain countries, why are they doing the things that they're doing? Because they're getting paid to do it. And if they're not getting paid to do it, they want
They're
to
forced.
get paid to do
Well,
it.
they're also forced to do it.
Yeah, and I would go as far as to say that uh, a lot of them they don't have a lot of choice.
Right.
And I'm not saying what they're doing is good. It's fucked up. That's what I'm saying. The whole thing is fucked up because I don't think if people was living in peace, there wouldn't be no gang forming and taking over the country and you know it all come back to the money. Right? It is controlling thing. It's controlling the most the only thing that's important um, in this world right now is human beings, right? I would say, right? Human beings. That's what we would consider the most important thing in the
Well,
world.
of course, human beings would consider human beings to be the most important thing on earth.
Yes, 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 yes. We could do some logical thinking about that. If there's no human beings, then who's to think about thinking something is important or not?
Right. I mean, Earth would be just fine without human beings. There would be no issues whatsoever. Probably be better off,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, yeah. But since we're here, we think we're the most important,
Right.
and we're gonna continue thinking that as long as we're alive. Animals, I don't think have the uh, capacity, capability to do the things, to think the way that we think, it, in a self-destructing way, because that's what ultimately happens. And again, it may not kill you right now, like you get shot, but slowly it will get you. Yeah, just living your life based on chasing something that's not natural, you know, and there's no way for you to develop consciously in any meaningful way. You know, you're always gonna be worrying about something that's very fucking petty. It's nothing. It's literally nothing. I was listening to something that made so much sense to me. A guy was showing like uh, $100 bill. It says 1972 in it. Um, and he asked the guy, "How much you think this was worth um, in 1972?" Well, a heck lot more than what it's worth now, but we're still using the same $100. You get the drift.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
look at
it's
all
it's
this.
a
Look at all
control
this. And
mechanism.
look at all this energy saving stuff that we do. Supposedly, we got to use electric cars. We got to do this. We got to do that. We got to put new smart meters on our houses for but yet my electricity bill has not decreased regardless of all these energy conservation things happening. I'm still paying more now than I was 10 years ago. So,
I'm driving. I'm driving. I'm looking at all these, electrical poles and wires, and I'm wondering, is it do we really are we really stuck here? We can't advance. And you know about Nicholas Tesla, right?
Hmm.
he discovered a whole bunch of ways to actually create um, uh, unlimited energy for
Hmm.
free. And
Free
and
energy, yeah.
and the thing about the, because I see this happen right in front of me too. Uh, the same thing that's going on with the energy sector. They provide. I think it's the government. The government provides you with the energy. Okay, the electric. They call it a different company. That's how they pretend they're something that they're not, or they're not something that they are. It's been working for them, so they're not gonna stop anytime soon. Because who's gonna be, who make the nuclear facilities to generate electric? Come on, stop fooling yourself. The fact that people have to pay every month and make standardize that and human being life, psychologically embedding it, programming them, the grandkids, forever. And as you could clearly see, like you said, your electric bill is not getting any lower. And we know the fucking thing could be done way cheaper, and we could probably do it ourselves. But that's not allowed. There's no independent group that's you know researching free energy in any meaningful way. You know what I mean? Some people you might find on that talk about how they achieve something here and there, but then they get shadow banned. Conspiracy theory box, they get thrown in, and nobody talks about that. And this is something that doesn't stop. It's like a leash. Because once you buy a house, great. That's a great. Okay, you buy a house, boom. All right. You didn't just buy the house. You bought water. You bought energy. You bought gas. You bought. Oh, by the way, you bought taxes. Yeah, they made that a thing too.
Yeah, and you don't really own it.
Exactly.
But it's like the an argument I got into with my internet provider a couple years ago, where they were trying to offer me high speed internet. And I said, "How do you justify that? How does your like what is it costing your company to give me faster internet? What is it?" And he said, "Well, it's like sort of like a McDonald's uh, meal. You know, you order a Big Mac meal. If you want an extra large Big Mac with an extra fry, you have to pay more for it." I said,
Yeah.
"Well, I understand that because McDonald's needs more material, more whatever it is they put in their burgers to make the burger. They need more fries. So they're putting out more products. So therefore, it's costing them, it's costing me. What is faster internet costing you? That's almost like taking the ocean and saying, You want some water here? What size valve do you want on it? Because if you pay more, we'll give you a bigger valve. But if you can
they
only
gotta
afford
use
this, we're going to give you a little valve.
they gotta use nonsense to make sense.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying too. I seen that happen right in front of me with the whole uh, telecommunication sector. I see it grew right in front of me, and where when people, it never used to be that expensive. But I don't understand how uh, something could be so expensive, like uh, communication device. People are paying $100, $120 just for their cell phone, just to have a cell phone, some internet. And this is like a mandatory part of most humans' life
Hmm.
nowadays. And it's been created literally in thin air because the technology is there. They groupthink to figure out how we could maximize capital profit. And I can never get that gigabyte thing too. You mentioned it earlier. A few years ago, when the uh, ISPs, they was charging for data in it still do, in a ridiculous manner. Hey,
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. It's like you can buy what's called unlimited data packages up to a point. If you have if you use 20 gigs, all of a sudden they cut your speed in half now for some reason. Once you reach that cap, although it's advertised as unlimited, it makes no
it's
sense.
it's all bullshit.
Yeah,
Because you could literally think of you know, frequency is frequency, okay? Like a magnet, some magnet. It doesn't matter how many thing you plug into it, it's still gonna be magnetized. Them making a business model out of it and you see how they work together. All of them do the same thing at the same time. You don't have not one company that have way cheaper service and it's the same thing. Now those that do appears to have cheaper service, guess who owns them?
the same
The same
companies.
company that's already out there.
It's like
Yeah.
banking system, the fiction banking system. Like you can, they have these banks that come out that are claiming to be banks without borders, and they have fancy names, and it's online. But if you really look into it and you go to their website, they're all under the umbrella of Chase Morgan or Bank of America or Citibank or some shit.
And that's what it is. That's what it is. The Federal Reserve. Nobody can give me a clear explanation who and what and who they are. How did they go? They're not the government, but they. Well, that's what I heard. They claim to borrow from the government or giving promissory notes or whatever. However, they got this scheme going on. It's been working well for them, and I don't think they're gonna stop that anytime soon because nobody understands if you really start to, you grab a piece of paper and start to write stuff down, none of this stuff is gonna make sense, and you have to come to the conclusion that money is not what we think it is, and it's it's really the thing that is shaping humankind as we know it.
Let me show you something real quick. So
Yeah.
this is above the Federal Reserve entrance.
Mhm.
The folks who are interested in flag protocols will find this familiar. As Colin Miller used to say, it's the chicken with the wings down. And you will see this on toppers, finales on flags in some courtrooms, churches, even if you see Donald Trump or someone giving a speech, you may see this finale. When you see this finale, Colin Miller said that is the symbol of Vatican banking when the wings are
Yeah.
down. And this is
Yeah.
also associated with the Rothschilds because
Mm-hmm.
Rothschilds are associated with banking. And so
One
I don't
percent,
know if
70%.
you know this, but back in was it night? I don't know the exact date. Early 1930s, I would say. Whoever the president was then, the name escapes me, made owning gold illegal.
Right.
Everyone had to turn in their gold or face 10 years in prison. And they used the excuse that they needed it for the war. Now, what happened also when they did that is they created this. The Federal Reserve came into existence, a private institution.
And you could almost see what they did there. The things that people would consider to be valuable, they altered the course of of that train of thought by taking it away, giving it a presumption, an assumption of value, um, that they're gonna um, come and save you and back it with this promissory note.
Yeah,
Yeah, that word.
promissory note. Yeah, it's like what's it called? It's called a dollar bill. So if I do a service for you, like if you tell me, hey, can you come over and put on a back patio for me? I say, sure. I come over. We do a contract. I build the back patio, and then I give you a bill. What do you pay it with? A bill, a dollar, dollar bills.
Yeah, and believe it or not, you see these word games.
Hmm.
I know this is all that's going on with the whole structure, with this whole structure, especially even in the court. And logically too, you could argue things like that, like the language they use to to basically rape you, to to commit the crime, because like you just said, a bill, a dollar bill, there's the same thing. If we want to be like clear to each other, not you know doing the same thing everybody's doing, just having assumption and presumption and going along with what you think this means, and then it works out, and then that's how it works, and so you can't do anything about it. This is what's so fucking beautiful about being your own authority. When you have closure on certain things like that don't you're not fearful of certain I wouldn't even call it argument. uh, I'd call it challenge, right? It, as a matter of fact, you would want at some point, maybe not the beginning, you would want to see what else, what, because once you start using this and you see it, they nobody could push back once you know what you're doing, you know what you're saying, and you just looking at it, uh, waiting for them to respond, but they never do. You just never hear from them again,
Right.
which tells you knowledge is power, knowledge is authority,
That's
and
right.
yeah,
And the
because
knowledge and being able to articulate that knowledge, they find it very hard to deal with that, and they would just rather not deal with it at all. And
yeah,
since we're
because
talking about that type of thing, like that type of trespass and foreign vessels and dry dock and things like that, courtrooms, going back to the hood, the gangs and how they fight over turf, that's all the government is and the court system is that, but blown up to a huge level. Whoever has the bigger guns and clubs are going to get to do what they want to do and control what they need to control, and everybody's going to be afraid of them. Just like in the neighborhood, people may be afraid of this gang or that gang. That's all the government is a gang
yeah,
going
and
into other turfs and robbing them.
yeah, and it's really they created this mess because they incentivize to keep certain people at bay, at certain away from certain places, a form of segregation. Because in the ghettos, there's different area codes, zip codes, and they treat these people totally different. There's a different unit, different the police officers. They're totally different from the suburban police officers, and it's because that's been created by they did design the whole the city, how it's gonna be, you know, what type of in their head, what kind of people in what brackets is gonna be over there, over here, and they created it. And a lot of time you hear a lot of heinous crime happening. They could stop it if they want to. They created it and they could stop it if they want to, but they don't because then they won't have anything else to do. They won't they won't be able to justify for certain um, uh, their usefulness, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how are you going to have a police force if there's no crime?
And I see. Well, I know I see, and you know you probably did too. You know, sometimes when I go out with friends, they be especially in Miami, South Beach. There's cops walking around. Guess what? There's also drug dealers walking around. Which one? Which one? The cops know the drug dealers. They know who's who's. It's just business as usual.
But I mean, it's my opinion, also my position. Like drug dealers, if drug dealers are committing a crime by selling a product to people, and people are choosing to buy that product, and that's wrong, then you need to put pharmacists in jail. You need to put doctors in jail too. Then
That's
across the board,
that's where you could clearly see what's happening.
bartenders, liquor store owners, jail.
Do a Google map. You'll see almost every corner there's a drugstore,
For sure.
right?
Drugstore, liquor store, drugstore, liquor store, church, drugstore, liquor store.
Now we got the vape booming,
Oh yeah, yeah, the smoke shops. Yep, for sure.
and
Dispensaries also.
yeah, and then and they took all these years before they could give us a goddamn weed, right?
Yeah, and it reminds me of a meme I just saw of all the SWAT team outside of this apartment doorway, and they're yelling, "Open up! It's the police! You better not have a plant in there."
Of that. It's your function to do what you do. You do it well, and I don't think anybody does it can do it like you do. And I haven't seen it, and I don't think I've seen it in person. I'll be I'll be surprised if I see someone come out with the same character, with the same position, with the same um, knowledge base about quantum grammar, same approach. I'll be surprised if I see somebody else out there performing like you do. Seriously,
Well, I appreciate that. That's a very humbling
that's
thing
an
for me
honest
to hear.
observation.
I will tell you that I do look at from time to time. I do look for folks like that, and I do find websites of people, and I'm saying this with a completely straight face. People that don't know jack shit about syntaxing offer syntax courses for like $1 million, and they don't know anything about it.
That's not like the electric company.
That's like the gas company. The gas company that we have a gas stove. They send a letter every year telling us or suggesting to us that we get insurance on the gas pipe that goes from the street to the house, that we're somehow responsible for that.
Yeah, it's in the public, right? But
It's like I wait for the day if something happens to that pipe and they try to get us to pay for it. That's going to be a fun thing.
You ever had business work somewhere where you get calls from all sorts of public servants, businesses, corporations like the fire department, um, uh, Goodwill, a whole bunch of different ones. They call the office all the time. They're very good at it. They're very good at it. They're very because when they speak, you, it's very hard for you to just tell them no because they've been doing it for
Hmm.
so long. They're very good at it,
Yeah.
and they call me. They call like a couple times a day sometimes because I think the office booths a lot of people doing it, and they would call like almost every week, every day, asking for donation. The fire department. So I told him I've never seen him put out a fire in my life. Yeah, they're always asking for donation. Always. They never miss.
I always get this because I have an Arizona number, area code on my phone because I've had the same phone since like 2011, 2012, same phone number.
Damn.
I'll get calls from some veterans, military veterans association from Arizona asking for donations every year. And every year I say, I asked you to take me off the list last year. Why are you calling me? I don't even live in Arizona. And their response is, so you don't want to help the people that help defend your freedom?
They get real good. They get real good at this. I'm telling you. They'd be calling, and I'm listening to them. They're very enthusiastic, very good at what they do, very convincing.
It's like, hey, fire department, you want a donation? All right, let me. I have a couple empty gallon jugs laying around. I'll give you some water. You can put that towards your next fire.
And speaking of fire, you heard about the L.A. fire, right?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Now, if that wasn't planned to the T, I don't know what the plan is. And that area, the way obviously the way it's burning is controlled. They want that cleared up because they want some new some new stuff there. They don't want the old stuff. They want brand new stuff, better and advanced stuff for the rich and the famous and the bourgeois. I think that's the plan because they literally like moving people out. You gotta go because everything burned down. You can't stay here. The fire hydrant didn't work that day. They took the day off. I mean, it
Yeah,
just
because
brings
there was allegedly no water in them.
yeah, because the AI told them it was a good idea to take it out and
Yeah, it was.
build another one.
So yeah, it was a perfect setup. Perfect
Yeah,
setup, perfect plan, perfect real estate development plan. We'll call it a real estate development plan.
that's I'm sure you heard of what happened to Hawaii, Hawaii too, right? Was it Hawaii? Mark Zuckerberg bought properties, and Oprah bought properties because they had a big fire too. Hawaii,
Mhm. Okay.
yeah, yeah, and it's kind of like same thing, and it seems to be happening more constantly lately throughout what 3 4 years.
Colorado, yeah, Colorado. Anything like that that happens, like even the. Do you remember Fukushima in Japan, the
Hmm. Yeah,
nuclear accident that happened? Like
yeah.
this blows my mind. All right, they talk about nuclear waste, all this radiation pouring into the ocean, and they had to totally evacuated everybody out of there because it's uninhabitable. You can't live there. So that was quite the real estate grab. But if you look on Google Maps at that place, That place should be a freaking wasteland. Nothing growing there, nothing green. That thing is greener than the Amazon jungle. Fukushima.
Really? I did
It's
not know that.
overgrown with, it's like, so if that's radiated and that's poisonous, why are there things growing there and growing
Huh.
so well? So that's another thing to think
That's the first
about.
time I heard that.
Check it
That's
out.
interesting.
Google it, what it looks like now. Nature has reclaimed it. And I'm sure they're going to start developing and putting those, like they do in Florida, putting those big hotels up on the beaches, and I'm sure that's coming soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, man. I'm gonna draw this to a close. Thank you, Ricardo. This is awesome. Much love, brother. Thank you for doing this with me.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you.
It's always a pleasure. You know, hit me up anytime.
And we're gonna try and do this once a week. All right, everybody. We're signing off now, and we'll catch you next time.